Hello everyone, this is Marshall. I am the author of Dead End Guildmaster on Royal Road, and this is a series that I do to celebrate some techniques in writing. So whether you're an author yourself or you're just appreciating the craft of writing in the books that you read, I hope that you get something out of this. Today we're talking about sentence structure and how that impacts your writing. We're going to talk a lot about subjects and verbs being the most important part. You've probably heard conversations about passive voice and active voice and how strengthening the verb makes a sentence more interesting and more alive. And you'll hear us talk a lot about verbs for that reason. And then as we look at how we're progressing the story and how we're pacing a story, verbs are going to be a big part of that too. But around those, how we deliver them are the types of sentences we put those verbs inside. So let me do some ninth grade English stuff for you in case it was a little rusty. So a simple sentence is just subject and verb. Hans is the subject. Ran is the verb. Pretty straightforward. There can be a lot of descriptors attached to this, and as long as there's not another verb in those descriptors, this will stay a simple sentence, even if it has a lot of fluff around it. A compound sentence is two simple sentences put together. Now, the big thing here is the idea of independent clauses. So we have a subject and a verb. So if this sentence was only Hans ran, makes total sense. But if we did it the other way, also makes total sense. We have a subject and a verb on both sides of the conjunction. If we are missing this subject, this becomes a dependent clause, which is actually a complex sentence. So you have a sentence that can stand by itself attached to another verb that needs that sentence to make sense. So if we kind of put that into a little more practical bit of writing, I wouldn't have fell into the swirling water by itself, because without the subject, it doesn't make sense. So we have independent clause and a dependent clause. And then a compound complex jams all of that together to make a big meaty sentence with a lot of verbs. So why does this matter? The types of sentences you choose and when you choose them can communicate to the reader how important or unimportant something is. It can change the tension and the drama of a moment depending on the sentences that you're using. And just in general, variety in your sentence structure is more pleasant to read. It's going to be easier for the brain to process and it feels less monotonous. Whether your readers recognize that or not, it's something that the brain definitely does and applies. So let's look at The Old Man and the Sea. We looked at this in our last video, so I'm not going to read it to you again. But I just want to kind of visually represent here the types of sentences Hemingway's using in the very first paragraph of his story. He opens with a compound sentence and closes with a compound sentence. And in the middle, he has compound complex. So this is you'll see this structure a lot in a lot of different types of writing, but the more important thing I want you to notice is just how deliberate this is put together and how intentional this looks when you start breaking it down into like a structure sort of format. And you'll notice there's only one simple sentence in this paragraph, and it's emphasizing the second character and the character's relationship with the old man. So that's a really important detail, a big part of the story, a big theme in the story. So it gets its own unique sentence structure in this paragraph. So it stands out and it's more easily noticed because it's different from everything else that's around it. So we're going to take this idea of types of sentences and structure, and then we're going to apply that to scenes, because just like with sentences, there's different types of scenes that are good for different situations and purposes, and varying those scenes can have a big impact on your writing and on the story itself. So we're going to get into that next week. Thanks for watching.